Peace. The Hood Mystic, representing www.hoodmystic.com. Monday morning. Today we're going to be dealing with the moon astrologically. As far as the concept that we'll be discussing today, that we'll be bringing to light for the family. Hopefully you could tell somebody about this concept, and we could all learn and grow from this information. Pronoia is the concept of this video. Pronoia is a concept, it's a book, it's a word, and basically it's the opposite of paranoia. Paranoia is when we look into the future and we're scared and we're worried. Pronoia is looking into the future with a knowing that the spirits in the celestial realms got our back. And so this is what we discuss on this channel. This is kind of what we kind of bring to light, is how much spiritual energy has our backs, you know. So as we begin to discuss the astrology, as we begin to discuss the information and knowledge for the day, let's just keep that in mind, that there are energies that have your best interest in mind. Do we access it? Those energies? Do we correspond with those energies? What energies are we corresponding with? If we suffer from paranoia, anxiety, depression, what is the solution, right? What energy can we begin to focus on to get us out of that rut or out of that stuck place? Today is the day of the full moon. So if you want any further and deeper insight than what I have for this video, be sure to check out my full moon video. And also, I just want to say thank you and appreciation to the Patreon family. And that's at patreon.com/thehoodmystic. Just want to say thank you and deep appreciation to you guys. So let's talk about it for a second. So today is a full moon. The moon will be opposed to the sun. But with this full moon, we have a double conjunction. The full moon is going to be a little different today because the moon will be conjunct some energy and the sun will be conjunct some energy. So let's just talk about the moon conjunct Chiron for a second. If we're going to discuss Chiron, if we're going to understand Chiron, we have to understand the concept and the mythology around Chiron. He is known as the wounded healer. And when I say wounded healer, I want us to be clear. He is not the I had a perfect life healer. It is not the I'm rich healer. It is not the I am a special person healer. It is the wounded healer, meaning that through its wounds, it has learned how to heal itself. So throughout our lives, if we arrive to this moment in time, we have a realization that we have had wounds in this moment. We all have had wounds in our past. What is the reason for those wounds collectively? The reason for those wounds, if you had a wound 2 minutes ago, what is the reason for that wound? Moon conjunct Chiron is simply telling me that the reason for that wound is for that wound to be healed. And so if I have this perspective, if I meditate on this perspective for long enough, I can damn near find reasons for every single wound in my life, especially if I'm able to heal it. Not to say that it was right, not to say that it was wrong, not to say that it was justified. But the reality is that I have to heal it. I can't, if somebody slits my arm, right? I can't sit and persecute that person. I have to heal my arm. 'Cause see, if I sit and persecute that person and they slit my arm, and I sit and for the next 5 years, all I do is persecute that person and I never tend to my wounds, then I'll bleed to death and then I'll die. Because I never tended to my wounds. I only focused on the action. And this is just an analogy for anything that you experienced in your life that you may consider to be a wound. Chiron, in essence, represents a human being's permanent access to spirituality because he is a centaur. And centaurs in mythology just represents different aspects of your hippocampus. And your hippocampus is your short-term memory. But your short-term memory is whatever could possibly happen in this moment. Your short-term memory is all that you have. So within this moment, it could be a completely magical and spiritual experience if you choose to project that, if you choose to focus on that. But the thing of the matter is, people do not tend to their wounds. They tend to the action that has created that wound. And so from this perspective, you bleed out. So Moon conjunct Chiron is putting all of our subconscious, all of our conscious, all of our spiritual, all of our realization towards our wounds and realizing that us in this moment, we have access to healing that. It's a powerful moment in time if we're able to access the moment in time. It is not found in the future, and it's not found in the past because the past is subjective. It's a vantage point. So, taking all of that in consideration, we're opposing all of this energy to the sun conjunct Mercury in the first decan of Libra. So the first decan of Libra is ruled by the moon. So let's just break this down without getting too far and getting too complicated with the first decan, sun conjunct Mercury, all oppose the moon. So all of this energy is opposed the moon, and the moon actually rules the first decan of Libra. There is a peace, calmness, and balance that represents this first decan. And so even if you look at the tarot card that rules the first decan of Libra is the Two of Swords. The Two of Swords, the title of that card is peace. So we have peace, and then we have the moon conjunct Chiron, permanent access to spirituality, in the first decan of Aries. So we have peace, balance, initiation, path working. So if I'm going to walk on a path, if I'm going to walk on a journey, I was thinking about this weekend a lot. I'm thinking about my travels. As Jupiter moves into Sagittarius, I'm going to be traveling more. A lot of things can happen when you're traveling, when you're isolated, when you're by yourself, when you're around people that you don't know. But there are many people who have traveled safely, came back home, did what they had to do. And I'm only saying this to say that there has to be a level of pronoia with me moving forward. And if we are to take part in our path, we have to know that the spirits got us. When we take risks, when we put ourselves out there, when we do, pilgrimages, when we travel to different countries, we don't know the different languages, we don't know the customs, and we may be by ourselves. So what is the attitude that one must have moving forward, understanding this information? And if you can follow me and understand that this full moon represents an initiation because it is full moon in Aries, conjunct Chiron, meaning that there is a new revelation around the corner for us all. So what should be the attitude? Knowing that change, like, this is why we discuss astrology. This is why we discuss spirituality. This is why we talk about events before they happen, so we could be prepared. So we could be prepared mentally, spiritually, emotionally for things to happen. This is why we do ritual. This is why we set intention. We don't do ritual. We don't set intention because we don't think that shit is not gonna manifest, or else we wouldn't do it. And the more you do it, the more confident, the more sure of your abilities you become. And this is what we call path working. This is what we call divination. You are to be learned. You are important. You have to understand yourself. And this is divination. If you are simply biding your time, if you are simply waiting for the check to come in the mail, if you are simply working, getting a check, just not even understanding your energy, yourself, and your life, this is what needs to take place. So I have done the path work and I have done the divination, but even me, I'm turning another corner of where I want to be and what I want to do in my life. Let me give you an example. I had the intention a couple of years ago to be a successful astrologer. I worked toward my craft. I built a following. I worked hard on social media. I was at it every day. I read books. I was on YouTube. I took notes. I manifested becoming a successful astrologer. And so when we manifest things, good. But what is the problem with manifesting, or what do we miss when we manifest? We miss the next step. So we could be so focused on something, get it, and stop. So this weekend, I was very introspective in exactly how I wanted to turn the corner in my life, because I did not want to continue just being a successful astrologer. I realized I manifested it. I seen the good in it. I seen the bad in it. And this is Pronoia, where I could simply focus on the bad. Like, I don't want to sit here and do these charts all day, every day, blah, blah, blah. No, I realized that the cycles of life continue to evolve. So what is my next evolution? What is my next divination? What is my next path working? I want to begin to incorporate myself. I want to begin to work with other people. That's my next phase. So as you guys see me grow as an astrologer, you guys will now see me grow as a partner in business with someone. That's my intention. That's my manifestation. That's what I'm now learning. And I can make this wild claim, wild intention, because I'm doing it with Pronoia. So I say this to you guys on the live, listening to this video. What do you want to do? Trust me that the spirits have your backing. The spirits will support you, but you have to do it with the right attitude, the right mentality, and the knowing that Pronoia is real. Paranoia is just as real. So if you are taking a risk and you are scared of what bad could happen, you know, it's so many positive things, but then a person will tell me, you know, 38 negative things that possibly could happen from this positive thing. And so by the time by the 38th thing, it's like, I might as well not even do it. Well, that's paranoia. And so by the time I said what I said, and I didn't think of the negative things that could possibly happen because I'm so paranoid, and I did not come from this perspective overnight. You know how I came to this perspective? I came to this perspective by www.hoodmystic.com and this YouTube channel. Because if you were to check me out, you would see a paper trail so long and so thick that you couldn't really fathom it, because this is something that we have been strict about in this household, in my life. I'm not doing this website, quote unquote, for other people. I've been doing this website for me because I wanted to learn, but I didn't like learning. So I was like, I want to make learning interesting for me. So what I first started out was every single tarot card, my website. I broke down every single Thoth tarot card. And in between that, I would do This Week in Astrology. Every 2 weeks, we talk about the new moon. We talk about the full moon and its aspects. Not to show off, not to brag, but to learn. And so we've done this for 2 years now, and we've learned. This is why I know that my next adventure will be successful, because I figured out how to do it. And I don't know no magic way. I don't know no special, amazing, easy trick besides working on something every single day, every single week, every single month, keeping track of your progress, learning, expanding. This is the North Node in Leo. This energy, the moon is trine the North Node in Leo. The sun is sextile the North Node in Leo, meaning that inherently the things that we've learning will impact our new initiation. But if we work towards balance and knowing and the pronoia of it all, it brings it all together. And this is what astrology does. It gives us a trine. It gives us a sextile. And it creates the energy. Okay, I got this working for me naturally, but I can work towards this. Okay, that gives me better insight. And so this is just simply what we're talking about. This energy also squares Saturn. So I just want to speak to this. Where we factor in time. Time. Powerful, powerful concept, especially when we figure ourselves to be old. I don't have enough time. When we have goals, when we have things we want to bring into manifest, if we factor in time, you might as well cut this video off. You might as well go back to sleep because it's too early. Time is irrelevant when we're talking about magic and manifesting and anything that you want to bring into realization, because the reality is that we only have this moment. We live moment to moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. Sometimes I sit back and I think, how did I get here in this moment? That'd be my only thought. Because I'm so captivated by the moment, because I can't escape the moment. Oh, I can project. Oh, I can meditate. I can do all of this fancy shit. But the reality is that I'm in the moment. And so when we discuss time, what are you doing in this moment? If you have a projection, what are you doing in this moment to get to that projection? Are you simply standing in one space, wishing that you were in a future space and not doing anything in the moment to get you there? Square Saturn. Meaning that it is irreconcilable for me to be, I cannot project myself as bad as I want to be in a space where I'm doing this and, you know, doing this, you know, on the internet and then in front of a crowd and doing this every day and then having support, having, you know, live bands and things of that nature and different speakers. And, you know, as bad as I want to do that, as bad as I want to travel all over the country and speak to people and help people and heal people, I can't do it now. But I can prepare in this moment, speak these things into existence, write these intentions down. I can do that. This is my square Saturn. If I'm sitting there like, oh, I want to do this so bad. I want to move so bad. I want to go so bad. Then that ain't shit. That's the square rearing its ugly head. But if we're actively knowing that in this moment, we can start to work towards our projections and give it enough space, it can manifest the more that we put into it. This is reality, you know, and it's not something that people would talk about all the time. And that's why I value this channel, because where I get my information, the things that I speak to, is strictly based on understanding astrology, and astrology giving me the direction of which to speak to the people. So, you know, I know that every day I'll have something to say that's poignant, and it won't be from me. It'll just be from my interpretation of the stars and the tarot and the symbology, because what I want to do is connect to the collective consciousness. As I get better, I feel that everybody else around me is getting better. I feel that life is getting better. I feel like the universe is getting better. I feel like the world is changing. I feel like, you know, the things that are happening in the world is for our favor. Everything that's happening is for our favor. And with that perspective, you will look at the world a little bit differently. Even when they project negativity, you can see them clearly projecting negativity onto your being. And you'd be like, no, you can't do that shit either, because I'm not even that. And this is more or less speaking to the priestess energy. Quite simply, my family, we have to see beyond the veil, period. I don't give a fuck. I don't want to hear nothing else about the material world, and you not being able to see beyond the veil, or you not practicing, or you not doing any divination to see beyond the veil, and you looking at the material world as which it stands, and you not doing no work to see beyond that obstacle. Because if we have the pronoic attitude, then everything that is projected that is negative is a fear, false evidence appearing real. Ah, you trying to hit me with some fear. Let me look over that. The priestess family. And so we have on one level the Prince of this, and then on the other level we have the Prince of Swords. So I do this because this is how spirit speaks to me. Through the past couple of days doing this tarot, it's been like a message for the ladies, message for the fellas. Because if you look up court cards in any book, they always talk about the court cards could represent a person, yourself, or an energy. To me, that's confusing as fuck, because that's three different things. And how the fuck am I supposed to look at a card and disseminate it in three different ways? So the first thing I do, if I have a prince and a princess, I'm like, okay, man and a woman, and this is the particular energy. If it's just a prince by itself, then I think energy, whether it's relating to a person. If it's just a princess by itself, then I think energy is related to a person. But if I get them both in a spread, then it's like man and woman. That's how I do it. You could do it your own way. But court cards are tricky because the way that they're written when you study is like they're written tricky. So you kind of learn it tricky. So you got to develop your own system. So I just say that to say the Princess of This is a message that I have to women. You have the ability to create life. You don't need a man to create life. And I'm not talking about a baby. I'm talking about a woman creates life when she enters a room. A woman creates life when she says hello. The princess of this is the air and earth, and learning to create from the mental aspects into reality. If your air is toxic or negative or dangerous or unsafe or unstable or unsecure, then you'll manifest that. So be mindful of your air. And even when I talk to the fellas, that's dealing with air too. And so when we discuss air, we need to understand that we need to maintain that, because air can be anything. If air represents the mind, and if our minds are everywhere, this where, that where, and we're not focusing and directing on anything, then that's what will manifest. But if we take control of our air, if we focus our mind and synthesize it and realize that, you know, this is power. If I focus my mind, I can direct my energy. And more to that, it's a force, the 10 of Wands. Like, you are forced to focus your mind, ladies. It's an oppressive force. It's a Saturn force. It's a masculine force that you may not like. And this may not resonate with you. But if it does resonate with you, realize that a focus is okay. A focus is not a... Life changes, life shifts, and we have to learn how to adapt and change and shift with it. And sometimes you can focus, sometimes you can relax, sometimes you can let loose. And so mentally, dealing with the particular focus, dealing with the moon, because we're dealing with the subconscious mind. So if we can get the subconscious mind to be all on one page, then we'll see this manifest moving forward. The Prince of Swords. The Prince of Swords is an adult being led by a whole bunch of children. Fellas, my niggas, the Prince of Swords is an adult being led by a whole bunch of children. It's the heir of air. It's like all of your fantasies and things of that nature. And the reality is that we all have them and we all struggle with them, but we have to realize that, just like the ladies, we have to focus. We have to focus our energy, align our subconscious mind with our whole entire being. Factor in the spiritual, factor in the literal, factor in the reality, factor in the moment, factor in the space, factor in the time. Where are you today? Where do you want to be? Because if you are somewhere today and you just want to stay there, oh shit, please, because this is not even for the lowlives. This is for the great people who have attained some status, some finances. That ain't the end though, my dude. Power. Realizing you got to cross from point A to point B at all times. This is life. If you can understand that, you living. Once you stop doing that, it's kind of like you somewhat dead in a mental state, in an air place. If you in a place and you like, well, I just want to be here forever. just wherever. Like you don't have no growth. That means you're dead. Look up the definition of living. It's constant growth. Once you stop growing, you're not even classified as living. You could be classified as non-living. Look up that definition too. Because you could be, your heart could be breathing and beating and everything could be going on, but you're not growing, so you're not even factored in as a living being. Got to realize that life is like, when you look down on earth, it's just a whole bunch of grains of sand. And so for a majority, everybody is just stagnant and in the same space, even if they're successful. Because a lot of people got to a certain level of success and was like, I made it, I'm done, let me just chill. But this is the energy for today. The moon is conjunct the sun is conjunct Mercury. The Magician. Realizing, utilizing. This weekend, I've actually been creating a course on the elements. I don't know how I'm gonna sell it or package it. And I'm not just doing a whole course on the elements. I'm doing a full course from astrology to, element, everything everything that I know, I'm trying to put it in course form. This is my next endeavor. But really the first step to this is the elements. The elements are so important. Understanding the elements. Let me just explain this real quick from my notes. Real quick, I hope I ain't taking up too much of y'all time this morning. I hope that this is interesting. I've been so introspective this weekend. I've been so, I don't know. It's like, spirituality is a real thing. That's all I can say. Speaking to spirituality being a real thing, the first thing that we need to understand with energy is fire. It goes fire, earth, air, water. Fire is energy. Without energy just comes from nowhere. Fire just comes from nowhere. But without earth, you wouldn't recognize energy. So fire and earth need each other. And these are the building blocks to life. But since we have so much earth and we're inundated with earth, it's easy to overlook energy. But you could easily get a Britannica right now and go to the E's and study everything that energy is, from potential to kinetic to, non-movement to movement to dark energy to light energy to feminine energy to masculine energy. Energy exists. Energy is real. My question to you on this live in this video is, how much do you interface and deal with your energy versus your earth? See, if you simply deal with the earth and you don't, deal with the energy, then you don't understand none of the shit that I'm talking about. Because hoodmystic.com, this YouTube channel, a lot of shit that I talk about is purely energy. You can't see it, you can't feel it, you can't touch it, but it exists, it's real. And we're just discussing it and we're building upon energy. That's why it seems so weird. That's why I don't have a lot of friends from back in the day, because that was a lot of earth. We talked about a lot of earth. But as I transition into the energy, you lose people. And so once you figure this thing out, fire, earth, needing each other, then you have to create a mentality based upon how you're going to incorporate with the energy. And this is air. The problem with air is that it's expansive. It's everything. You could just live in your mentality for the rest of your life, never examine it, never cultivate it, never grow it, never challenge it, never radicalize your air. And so this is what we're doing with this channel as well. We're trying to impact your air to get you to a place where, okay, mentally, I can look at this thing a little differently. Mentally, I can expand my view because I realize in the visible spectrum, I'm only seeing a tiny fragment. And so now that I'm studying this energy, that tiny fragment is expanding over time, and it's not complicated. The nigga don't sound stupid. He ain't using big words. He ain't trying to confuse me. He just trying to expand my mental. He's just trying to speak to my air. You know, the internet is all air. And I need to speak to this too. It's a lot of people on internet who have air. Like, they have air, they know a lot. They know a lot. Human beings do not reach the level of water, because the level of water is emotional mastery. Water is, in the hierarchical structure of elements, is placed right after air. So in the original way, they do air, water, fire, then earth last. The way that I'm doing it is a little differently because I don't see it that way. I'm doing water last because, say if you do air, then water, then you emotionally align with the things that you think about, and you haven't abstracted that shit at all. You start with the energy first, and then you realize the energy needs the earth, then you mentalize that, and then you create an emotion behind everything. After you do the work, then you have an emotion. A lot of y'all got emotions before you even, niggas have emotions 2 minutes into the video. I don't like this beat. Let me cut this shit off. There's nothing more that I can do. So I appreciate y'all patience for letting me get through this message and be as clear as I possibly could. I really appreciate y'all for rocking with me, for not even listening. Hopefully you're in tuning to what I'm saying, and you're writing, and you're keeping track of my thought process, because I had a clear train of thought, and I wasn't here to brag or boast. I was here so people could learn and abstract themselves and redirect their energy. The title of this video, if you didn't catch it from the beginning, is Pronoia. Pronoia is the antidote for paranoia. It's the understanding that the universe is fundamentally friendly. It's a mode of training your senses and intellect so you're able to perceive the fact that life always gives you exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. And if you could just simply take this into consideration, moving forward, it's just a thought. It's like, you could be paranoid or pronoid. It don't matter. Because trust me, it's shit in my life that I could be paranoid about. It's shit in my life that I could be pronoid about. I'm choosing to be pronoid today. And so I'm hoping that the family could take that for what it is. What's the choice that we make in it, how we interact with each other? I bare my soul. That's what I do every day. So hopefully that resonated with you, and hopefully you can share this video. I reach 500 people a day. If we can get 500 shares a day, you know, let's make that the goal this week, to share these videos, to talk about these videos, to talk about these concepts, because pronoia needs to spread. Because there's enough paranoia going on in the world. But much love from me, much love from my family. The dedication is not just a me thing. The dedication is a whole Hood Mystic family, you know, whole family thing. They all support me in my actions. They could, you know, not support me, but they give me all the love and support that I ever could need. So I'm grateful for them, and I hope that everybody else is grateful for them and grateful for their families. But But you know, hit me up on the Gmail, hoodmystic@gmail. If you would like to donate, the links will be below in the descriptions and the comments. So PayPal or Cash App, the links will be below. If you want to support this channel, patreon.com/thehoodmystic. All the people who signed up for the personal astrologers package, I will be hitting you up at the beginning of the month, just to make sure that that payment went through. But you know how it is, because I'm doing a lot of work, I just want to make sure that everybody is equally compensated. So allow me to readjust myself and recenter myself and prepare myself for this upcoming time, because what Spirit told me this week is like, enjoy this peace. Enjoy these peace for this weekend, because you know you will never be able to chill like this for a long time. So that's what I did. I feel good, got that out. I was thinking about this show all weekend. My wife probably was looking at me kind of crazy, because my neighbors was looking at me crazy because I was talking to myself a lot this weekend preparing for this show, because you know this is a pivotal show, pivotal time in my life, and I wanted to come across clearly for posterity's sake. So peace, peace, peace to the family. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Remember the attitude, Pronoia.